So for this question, I'll be talking about my journey from when I did the preliminary task up until now, the finished product, and discussing about how my finished product is better and what elements make it better. I will also be discussing how I've developed both technical and personal aspects. So for you to see how my past creativity, film and editing skills have been in the past, the link to my preliminary task is just above this video. Since the preliminary task, my skills have improved in a variety of ways. For instance, my communication and teamwork skills have improved, and my understanding of some of the software and techniques we have had to understand and improve have also improved. There are quite a few continuity errors in our preliminary task. There was one issue where we did a close-up of Kelsey and Rima's faces, and you can see the tripod behind Kelsey, and it's not there in any other shot of Kelsey.
So you can see the tripod behind Kelsey here, but not here.
There were other visual continuity errors too. We believed that we couldn't move it seeing as the staff had placed it there, but then we later understood that we should have asked them to move it back, as we realised how important it was for a film to have no continuity errors in it at all.
The food zone was here at the start of the film, and then here at the end.
We also had a sound error, as we filmed this over for periods 4 and 5. The changeover between lessons meant that the pupils were making noise while they walked about the corridors, and the camera picked up on this. To solve these errors, and to make sure that we didn't do this in our finished product, for the visual continuity errors, we took the monitor screen with us so that we could watch every recording back to check for these errors. If we found one, we would film that particular area again and again until we got it right with no error in it at all. For the same continuity error, we learned that if there was any background noise when filming, we should just let the camera roll for about 15 minutes and then detach the audio from it in the editing stage and play it in the background of our clip so the noise was the same throughout. The next issue we had when making our preliminary task was that the match on action was slightly out when watching it back. Here it is. To solve this and make sure that our match on action was near perfect, if not perfect, by taking more time to check it, frame by frame, and moving the two clips ever so slightly and reviewing it so many times and getting others to look at it too. The last issue we faced when making our preliminary task was that some of the framing of the shots could have been a lot better, especially when we were tilting or panning the camera, such as here.
Yes, I win!
We should have refilmed this so Rima's head stayed in shot at all times, as she stood up. To solve this, we would plan our shots better and make sure our framing was better. We would review it on a monitor again and refilm it like we would do with the continuity errors. After we had first produced our preliminary task, I thought it was really good seeing as we included all the criteria, tried to make it have an interesting narrative, a game of Snap. It was also the first time that we'd used the equipment and the software. Well, it was just generally the first time that we'd filmed. Looking back at it now, I now understand that it's really not that good due to all the errors in it. The awful lighting, even though we tried. The narrative was just awful, and so it was really boring. The first reason why our main task was better is because we checked constantly for continuity errors, and even refilmed so they weren't any. We also thought about different filters and effects we could put as an overlay on our film to change the lighting at certain points, so that the lighting wasn't bad at any point.
You brought this on yourself.
The last reason that the main task was better than the preliminary is because we paid closer attention to the mise-en-scene to make it more fitting to the silence genre. This generally just made our film more appealing to the audience. The first similarity between my preliminary task and main task is that we made a storyboard to map out all the shots we were going to do. This enabled us to carry out the film much quicker, as we wouldn't be planning as we filmed. We had a sheet to follow. We could then cross things off as we'd done them, making sure that we hadn't missed any shot out. The next similarity between the two tasks is that they both contain a match on action. In the preliminary task, the match on action shows Rima walking through a doorway and taking a seat at the table. In the main task, the match on action shows Harper getting up off the bed and walking to the mirror. The main task's match and action was better because the preliminaries was a few frames out, whereas we made sure that the match and action in the main task was perfect. Both of them were used to show movement through continuous time. The first difference between the two tasks is the fact that we produced an animatic in the planning stage of the main task. The difference it made is that we could have some idea how long it was going to last, make sure that our narrative actually made sense and it was easy to follow. It gave us something to follow when editing our own film. The second difference between the preliminary task and main task is the change of time of day, as in the last shot it appears to be night time.
You brought this on yourself.
This showed that the time had passed since Harper leaving the house to arriving at the field. The third difference that is quite noticeable is that we had more interesting types of shots and angles. Even though both tasks had a match and action, the main task had various match and action within one. We included a mirror shot, so we filmed the reflection of Harper. This was a difficult shot as we had to be very careful that you couldn't see the reflection of the camera in the mirror. The idea that we'd introduce a tracking shot was risky as it was very difficult to keep steady and controlled.
You've been part of my...
Instead of filming the laptop screen, which wouldn't have looked particularly great, we did a screencast of Tyler's Facebook profile page.
exist. Why can't that one person be Tyler Robert?
This was basically Harper's point of view, so we could see the updated Facebook posts as Harper could see it. The last difference you should be able to notice is the different quality of work produced in the two tasks. The camera shots, angles and effects that we have used to improve as we become more experienced. The main task is a lot more flowing than my preliminary task, which seems to be rather jumpy. This shows my progression in the course because it demonstrates how my skills have improved throughout the filming and editing aspects of the course. A particular aspect that demonstrates progress is the framing within the tilting and panning shots within both tasks. In the preliminary task, our panning shot consisted of Kelsey walking down the corridor and then taking her seat at the table. As Kelsey's walking, the top of her head seems to be cut off and out of shot. As Rima wins the game and stands up, her head goes out of shot in the tilt shot.
Yes! I win!
To fix these issues, we would have had to refilm them, either being further back from the actor when doing the shot, or speeding up the camera movement while keeping it smooth and controlled. We progressed our skill in this, and it can be seen in our main task. The tilt and panning shot was done in one move, and each is of Harper standing up and walking to the mirror. This had to be filmed quite a few times, but as you can see, it is framed well and Harper never goes out of shot. It is also controlled, smooth and timed well. I have learned about technical areas of the film industry and the equipment they use. In the technical side of it, I have learned about different areas such as the 180-degree rule, continuity and how to avoid it, the rule of thirds, the types of shots and angles and different theories such as narrative theories. In the equipment side of it, I have learned what is needed to shoot a film and how to use it. For example, learning what a track is and then learning how to use it so we could use it in our film. How different pieces of equipment can improve different elements of the film, such as the reflectors when it comes to lighting of a film. I can now use all of this knowledge next year for the A2 side of the course. I've learned that I've had a much bigger interest in the film industry than I originally thought I did. I'm a quick learner, having learned about all the different equipment and technical rules and applying them later on. Once I know how to do something and apply it to a piece of work, I can be a bit of a perfectionist, but I do like making the best work possible. I am good at coming up with new and good ideas to film and discuss, as we stuck with my idea for the film and then just chopped and changed a few things. I'm more able to use different programs properly and how to use them to get the best quality work. For example, I now know how to use Final Cut Pro X, which enabled me to change the look of the time of day in the end shot, which the audience seemed to like. Communication is the key to efficient teamwork, so everyone knows what they're doing and when. Everyone should share the workload, whether it be the actual writing and editing or when out on location, who films what and who takes responsibility for the equipment. This ensures that everyone has something to do and doesn't leave anyone at an unfair disadvantage. It also prevents stress overload. Overall, I believe the making of The Main Task was a big success. The high quality skills and progression of me as a media student is clearly shown from the preliminary task till now, The Main Task. Also, the attention to detail of planning in all aspects of the construction of the film and all the many hours put into it, I believe, has been the long process that has led us to success and got our film finished and to our best ability.